This is so weird. Since 1997, there are 45 people, mostly young men, who have turned up dead in 11 states and 25 cities. And a lot of them had gone to bars and they were intoxicated. These are some of the smiley faces around where bodies were found. There were 11 smiley faces that they have found. And the police are saying there's no link between them. I'm not buying it.
I have this weird theory that this is actually tied to law enforcement. Because for some reason, these specific cases are tied to the same type of person. They're all white, athletic, people that you would envy, right? And then on top of that, widely, like across the board, it's been delegitimized by who? Law enforcement. It's like, why are you delegitimizing something, but there's a common thread here?
I actually investigated one of these deaths of Christopher Jenkins. He disappeared on Halloween night in a costume, was found 4 months later in the river, you know, like this with his Halloween costume on. No signs of foul play. We looked into the smiley face killer theory and we debunked it. And we debunked it because in all these 45-something cases, it's not the same smiley face. They're saying it's within a mile of where the bodies were found. In many cases, the smiley face graffiti had been on the wall for years before.
Another thing to point out, though, the smiley face is wherever the body was found. But if the body was killed somewhere else, how is the killer gonna know? Is the killer just hanging out to watch the body float till it shows up 2 weeks later and then do a smiley face there? That makes no sense.
If you've got 11 bodies and 11 smiley faces, even if they're not exactly the same, I'm sorry, that's really weird.
I think that it's some type of gang initiation, and let's be real, the biggest gang in the United States right now is the police. So you're then proving yourself as a loyal brother to the police force, and you have to prove it in some way.
Well, what about the question of a copycat killer? People haven't really talked about that. It's not necessarily unlikely to see people knowing about the infamy of this case and trying to mimic it.
That's certainly
a legit
happened before.
point. That's a legit point. Even though I don't think these are murders, that's a legit.
They want to make a name for themselves. They want to get a rise out of seeing this covered on television and know, I did that.
This is not a legitimate serial killing, in my opinion, but all the attention to it could create some desire for somebody to copy it and then go out and
So
do
like a
something
mass
like this.
copycat killing?
I do want to just point out something very mathematical. You've got basically 45 men died in a span of 27 years. That comes down to 1.5 lives a year.
So many drownings.
Statistically insignificant.
So many
completely insignificant.
No, wait. There are serial killers that take breaks for years and then they do it again.
But there are also people who fall in the river because they drank too much.
All these victims fit the profile of just dudes who are gonna go out and party, they're gonna get into some drugs or whatever, and they might get drunk and fall in somewhere or what.
They go to the side of the river to urinate, and they slip in.
A lot of these bodies that were found, they were found in the water sometimes weeks, maybe months after they vanished. The level of decomposition on the body, for some of them, is not consistent with someone who's been in the water.
Cold water,
weeks.
frozen water. In Jenkins' case, he had been in the river for 4 months, but that started October 31st and discovered in February.
When reviewing decomposition, there are lots of things like skin slip that can't be determined or can't be preserved.
Decomposition changes depending on the environment. If you think of King Tut, he's 3,500 years old, still looking pretty good, right? It depends on the environment, it depends on what you're in.
In addition to which, why is it men? Because when women drink, they don't leave a bar by themselves. They go with their girlfriends, they get an Uber, they're not so confident and don't feel entitled to walk alone at night.
We don't go pee in the river. A lot of these people, they have been sightings. There's been sightings of, oh, there was a creepy van that was close by. Oh, he was about to get into a van if I didn't come and pick him up. And I still think that it was the police theory. I hear what you're saying, but also the police are also very misogynistic. So it could be just a whole bunch of men that are trying to prove themselves so that they can get that higher level of clearance.
I mean, as a woman, you've got creeper cars and vans coming up all the time. That starts at age 14, that you have to deal with that as a woman. So the fact that that's happening to a guy and we're shocked, I'm like, well, welcome to the party, pal.
Well, it's not payback.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is I'm saying that that's partly what you learn to deal with as a woman when you walk on the street.
So is a new theory retaliation by a group of women who are tired of this happening?
make you more plausible to the cops.